These mobiles just get worse and worse. And okay, so we have here's two documents. We have church father I call them old Christians or whatever. On the end of the world, Hippolytus and pseudo Hippolytus, and church fathers, or old Christians. I don't like, why call them fathers? Just give me a break. Anyway, on Christ and Antichrist, Hippolytus. And I'm not entirely sure which one was it. On the end of the world. Yeah, on the end of the world. I've read one of the documents. I haven't read the other. I think it's the right one I haven't read that I was thinking of reading. And while reading it, why not just, make a little thingy out of it over here. So recording. Maybe if I turn it on the other side here, this will probably be good. Let's see if the sound. I was thinking. Yeah, the sound seems to be working pretty good. And apparently mobile just doesn't turn around here. So sick and tired. I was like, yeah, turn around. What's the turnaround thing? Isn't there like a turnaround thing here? Do not, blah, 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 blah. What's the turnaround? Like all these, it's typical, right? Are we running or not? I guess, okay, we're back and I've sorted out in regards of turning it around. That's interesting how it just, okay. Finally, maybe I should do it like this. That's probably better than this. It does make it a little bigger, right? Yep. Okay, I think we're ready. On the end of the world, pseudo Hippolytus. A discord by the most blessed Hippolytus, bishop and martyr, on the end of the world, and on Antichrist, and on the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. And apparently they put up right numbers, apparently 1, 2, 3, and all that. I don't know if they inserted those and all that, but since then, number 1, right? Since then, the blessed prophets have been eyes to us. setting forth to our behoof the clear declaration of things secret, both through life and through declaration and through inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and discoursing too of things not yet to come to pass. And by the way, he's a guy from the 2nd century, so this is around 200 and something that this has been around. So you just have to be aware that this guy is, he's living 1800 years ago, so not everything is kind of done for him in regard to things. Let's see if I can just make me a little, see if I can find some comfortable fixing here. Okay, there we go. So he's from the 2nd century, and so he doesn't know, not everything has he doesn't have all the puzzle pieces from our view of, but he's, you can actually set it to, let's try that. Oh yeah. Okay. And then you can make it bigger, I guess. Let's see that. Okay. Yeah. Because that's pretty good. And you can make it smaller, bigger. Oh, you can even make it bigger. Okay. Something of that nature should probably be big enough. Maybe a little smaller. There we go. Anyway, so since then the blessed prophets have been eyes to us. Oh, so 2nd century guy, and I read the other document. As far as I know, it's the other document that I read from him. It was pretty good. And a lot of the things you agree with, and then some other things that is kind of a little less. But it's interesting to still find a window into a guy from the 18th century talking about things, right? So since then, the blessed prophets have been eyes to us, setting forth for our behoof the clear declaration of things secret, both through life and through declaration and through inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and discoursing too of things not yet come to pass. In this way, also to all generations have pictured forth the grandest subjects for contemplation and for action. Thus too, they preached of the advent of God in the flesh to the world, his advent by the spotless and God-bearing Mary in a way of birth and growth, and the manner of his life and conversion with men, and his manifestation by baptism, and the new birth that was to be to all men, and because of the baptism of the Spirit, and the regeneration by the layer, and the multitude of his miracles, and his blessed passion on the cross, and the insults which he bore at the hands of the Jews, and his burial, and his descent to Hades, that's the underworld, and his ascent again. Hades is also the same as Sheol. So in his burial and his descent to the underworld, Sheol, and his ascent again, and redemption of the spirits that were of old. That's interesting, because again we have some different informations which are the information is clearly out there, but when we read the New Testament, there might not be so much information in the New Testament about a specific subject. But then when you go outside the New Testament, you can actually see things that, in regards of the grave springing open and, apparently some people having been revived, it's there's only one sentence, as far as I recall, in the New Testament about that in the book of Matthew. Yet when you go outside of the New Testament, you have multiple people talking about this, that this happened and so forward. And of course, in regards of Jesus going to the underworld and also freeing those I would call it souls in the underworld from the old world, I think there's only one data point as well, but it's in 1 Peter, so it's not the disputed second book, so that's kind of a thing, so if we have Peter actually saying that he went, that Jesus went to the underworld, and he also spoke to those people of old, whether you want to call them spirits or souls. I would say it would be souls. But anyway, and also that also takes away in regards of soul sleep. At least when Jesus was there, if the record of Peter is correct and other outside sources, then these people in the underworld seem to have consciousness, uh, being able to talk to Jesus, or Jesus being able to talk to them. So that's kind of, as far as I see it, everybody who dies goes to the underworld when we die. Whether we're Christians or not, that's the direction we go. We don't go to heaven when we die. We go into the underworld, and when Jesus comes back, he's going to resurrect us to everlasting life. But as far as I understood it, it's like a sleep. And still, I guess it still could be a sleep where, and then when Jesus went down there, they might have been awakened for this moment of time to be able to, to whether they would believe in Jesus or not and all that. But anyway, but we have some interesting data on that, but it's kind of a little hard to really clearly information is out there outside the New Testament about these things. And of course, you have one data point in regards of Peter in regards of it. So that's one data point, at least in the New Testament. In regards to the grave springing open, you also have one data point on that in the New Testament. So these are two events that, as far as I recall, there's pretty much only one event of both. There might be some that I don't recall, but it seems it's like Genesis 6, right? You read Genesis 6 and it's like, wait a minute, I want to know more about this. But in the Bible as itself, isn't really that much more. Like in the New Testament, we do have, I think, three inputs of it. I think one from Peter, one from Jude, and one where it's a little more elusive from Paulus, pointing to it, using it as an argument for something in regards of the angels and all that. But anyway, in regards of head covering and all that. But of course, I have my issues with Paulus. But anyway, he's using it at least at one time as an to put forward an argument. But we have Jude and Peter seemingly also pointing to the fall of the angels in Genesis 6. But if you want more further details on that, you need to go beyond the New Testament and it's kind of, but that, we have lots of data points in regards to that outside the Bible. It's like, I guess you have to remember that it's real, right? So it's not just because you only, you have documents and historical information outside the Bible as well, although you have to be careful in regards to that information. But it's like an ongoing thing because it's the truth, and thereby it's it's out there, right? The information is not always only in the Bible. You do have more data points outside the Bible. And again, in regards to Genesis 6, you would need to go kind of outside the Bible to get further data points. You kind of only get some snippets overall in the total of the Bible collection. If you want to know more about it, you really need to go outside. And of course, all the data points we have from Christians and Jews and all on this, it's kind of, well, it was the angels that ended up having connection with the daughters of Adam, and ended up making these fallen beings, these Nephilim, which, if we're going to trust some sources on it, it seems like there was three different kinds of Nephilim actually springing forward in the old world and all that. But anyway, let's move on. So, but the thing is, if you read some of the Christians from of old, they seem to have known things as standard, which might not have been found in the New Testament as a whole, but yet they still looked at it as, oh yeah, it's just standard thing, like when Jesus goes to the underworld, speaks to those people and all that. We have, there's some data points on that outside the Bible, which seems to have just been, of course, if you know the declaration, right, when Jesus goes down and he's resurrected again, clearly also going down to the underworld. So, and the new birth that was to be to all men in regards to the spiritual baptism by the Holy Spirit, and the recognition by the layer and the multitude of his miracles and his blessed passion on the cross, and the insult which he had to bear at the hands of the Jews, and his burial, and his descent to Hades, well, underworld, Sheol in Hebrew, Sheol, which also is actually, interestingly enough, the same letters that is used to talk about Shaul, because in Hebrew we don't have like the, but anyway, Shaul, Sheol, anyway, different vocals, but you kind of don't usually have the vocals or the red letters. I think like, well, yeah, vocals and consonants, right? Consonants are the black letters, right, and the vocals are the red letters. Since I haven't totally solidified that, but can't remember. I can't, but you can look it up anyway. You know what I mean, like the R, E, A sounds and all that. Well, I guess you don't have A or O in your languages. Anyway, and his ascent again and redemption of the spirits that were of old. So, and his ascent and redemption of the spirits that were of old, in regards of those before the flood in the old world, and the destruction of death, and his life-giving awakening from the dead. Oh no, we have a problem. Well, and the destruction of death, and his life-giving awakening from the dead, and his recreation of the whole world, and his assumption and return to heaven. I wonder in regards of, and his assumption. I wonder what that kind of, well, we do have some issues in regards of the data, blah, 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 blah. But that's typical, this program saying that. It's one of these nonsense things in regards of, as usually, the act of talking to oneself, kind of assumption. Well, I guess assumption into heaven, I guess, Anyway, and return to heaven, and his reception of the Spirit of which the apostles were deemed worthy, and again the second coming, that is to distant to declare all things. For distant. I'm not sure I'm saying this correctly. Distant. Let's see here. Distant. Pace. Distant. Must be another way to say like destined. Destined. There we go. Destined. That's like destined. So destined. That is destined to declare all things. For as being designated seals, they of necessity signified and spoke of these things before time. So now we are at number 2. But again, in regards to inserting these, I wonder if just someone inserted these chapters and all. There might not be any chapter division at all in the original. But anyway. Hence, too, they indicated the day of the consummation to us. And the consummation, I guess, would be the future thing when everything is coming to the consummation, when Jesus returns and all that. And signified beforehand the day of the apostate, that is to appear and deceive men at the last times. And the beginning and end of his kingdom, that will be the Roman kingdom, and the advent of the judge, in regards to the return of Jesus, who is the judge of the world, and the life of the righteous, and the punishment of the sinners, in regards to when Jesus returns, right, the resurrection of the saints. And of course, Jesus is coming back with 144,000 Israelites, which are going to testify at the end of times. But anyway, and they actually come up at the last great tribulation of the Gentiles, as far as I can see. And they continue into the trumpet. So they come forward at the 6th seal, going into the 6th trumpet. And then they die, are slaughtered by the Roman beast. And then 3.5 days later, they come to life. And they're told to come to the heavens. That's the so-called rapture. That's the real rapture in some sense. But they have been dead for 3.5 days. And then they come back with Jesus 3.5 years later. That's the in time of the 7 years, by the way. So that's a mid-rapture, or as some say, actually a pre-rapture, because it's pre 3.5 years of the end of what they look at as the Great Tribulation. But they don't discern that there's a tribulation for the Gentiles and the tribulation of the Jews. So a lot of things are just mixed together, and they make a lot of issues and all that. It took me some time to sort things out, but I think I'm pretty stable on it now. So you have like a last 7-year period, and that comes around the sixth trumpet, begins in the sixth trumpet. So you see that the 7 years where the idol is also put up and the sacrifices are stopped in the middle of the week, and that's also where the rapture, is. Some will use rapture because it's before the 3.5 years, and then others will say mid rapture because it's in the middle of the 7 years. So you see the problem here. It's the same thing that is being spoken about, but some differentiate in regards to those last 3.5 years, which is primarily for the Jews. So they put it like a pre-rapture, and then others will say a mid-rapture, but it's the same thing, the exact same thing they're talking about. And this is after the Gentile tribulation, so where we will be butchered like never before, which is still future, by the way. That's in seal 6. That's when the 144,000 Israelites will be chosen, excluding the tribe of Dan. And that's when a multitude, without number, will be butchered from all nations and, in regards to the Gentiles. And Dan might also be part of that, because at least they're not part of the 144,000. Not entirely sure in regards to that, but at least they're not, the tribe of Dan is apparently excluded of those 12 tribes being chosen to be the first fruit. The first fruit, because they are the first that pass from death to everlasting life. There's no rapture before that. They are the first rapture, the real so-called rapture, and of course Latin words and all that. They're the first to be taken away after 3.5 days, and then you have 3.5 years left for Jesus returning with the 144,000, and then you have the other real rapture where you have the resurrection and to Jesus and all that, and he sets up the kingdom on earth for 1,000 years and all that. Anyway, which is still, I don't understand it when people are like, they still are questioning that the kingdom of God is going to come on earth, the heavenly kingdom. Thy will be done. Thy, I can't even remember. Oh, my brain. Sorry. My brain just lost it, apparently. It's hard to remember all the things. But when you do the prayer, right, thy kingdom come. There we go. That was thy kingdom come. Sometimes it's just in the back. If you fill too much information into the brain, it's sometimes not easy to reach the data, Anyway, thy kingdom come. The meek and the saints are going to inherit the earth. Anyway, the stone becomes a great mountain, the greatest mountain, the greatest nation of all nations and all that. And Jesus will rule from Jerusalem, the nations of the world. Anyone, trying to I don't know. If people want to debate that and all that, just don't waste my time, at least in regards of it. It's pretty clear that Jesus' kingdom is going to come on this earth in full force. And after 1,000 years, you have the last little thing of the devil, and then we have paradise restored. The death is done away, and paradise is restored with the new earth and the new heavens and all that. And anyway. So hence too, they indicated the day of the consummation to us, and signified beforehand the day of the apostate, that is to appear and deceive men at the last times. and the beginning and end of his kingdom. The beginning and end must be in regards to the kingdom of the Roman beast. Now, the Roman beast continues until its end. It's past, present, and future, pretty much in regards. It's based on time, whereas God's kingdom is everlasting. The devil's kingdom is based on sand, pretty much, right? The sand goes out what's it called? Oh, I'm missing the words here. It's like you have what is it called? The sand watch, or what are they called? Like a time, the thing, right? Where the sand is moving in and all that, and at some point the sand, goes out. Anyway, so that's pretty much the devil's kingdom at the moment, and in regards to the Romans, I can't remember the exact year they came around and all that, but of course that's a continual beast until its end. Now, at the moment, the papacy is the 8, which is one of the 7. That's the Antichrist, and he continues until his very end, where we have further details of the last 7 years, and he's then destroyed and done away. So anyway, let's see here. That is to appear and deceive men at the last times, in the beginning and end of his kingdom, the Roman kingdom. That's in regards of the time that we are in, is in regards of the iron and the clay at the moment, the little horn of the Roman beast, and the 8, one of the 7, which is the 8, the beast of the number 666 in the book of Revelation. So you have the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation giving data points on multiple levels, making an image for us. Anyway, so at the beginning and the end of his kingdom, and the advent of the judge, in regards of God, and the life of the righteous. And, of course, when I say God, we're talking about Jesus, of course. We have, God the Father, we have God the Son, and then we have that Spirit of truth in regards to the Holy Spirit. So, which he is the guide to the children at the moment, testifying about the Son being the only way to the living Father. So we have the Spirit of truth in us, testifying of the way of the Son to the living Father. There we go. Anyway, so the children of God, we have passed from death to eternal life by being in the living gods, plural. And the gods, the living gods, are in the children of God by their Holy Spirit, by the Spirit of the Son and the Father. In the children that's the spiritual baptism, and they are in us, and we are in them, and so forward. Anyway, it's people that like, the Trinity is this and that. No, just read John chapter 14, 15, 16, and 17. If you have issues with the Trinity, and go to Jesus and listen to what he has to say in regards to all the bullshitters around. So, anyway, and the punishment of the sinners let's see here. So, and the advent of the judge, and the life of the righteous, and the punishment of the sinners. And of course, sin is transgression of the law of God, right? The law of the Torah. In order that we all, bearing these things in mind, and by the way, God hates sin, right? So what does he love? Law obedience, of course. Anyway, it's like you have multiple Christians out there that, will attack the law of God, So what are you going to replace it with? Oh, the man, the laws of the man of the lawless one? Oh, yeah, in regards to drunken, whoring Rome. Anyway, in order that we all, bearing these things in mind day by day and hour by hour, as children of the church. I wonder what that word would be, maybe congregation rather, but anyway, might know that not one jot, nor one tittle of these things shall fail. Matthew 5:18. I don't think they had, these Matthew 5:18 at that point, so I guess the translator might have inserted that, so I'm not entirely sure. But as the Savior's own word announced, let all of you then of necessity open the eyes of your hearts and the ears of your soul, and receive the word which we are about to speak. For I shall unfold to you today a narration full of horror and fear, to wit, the account of the consummation, when Jesus returns, and in particular of the seduction of the whole world by the enemy and devil, and after these things the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, he might have understand in regards of consummation a little, in regards of maybe a little different than I would think the consummation would be in regards of when Jesus returns, but maybe he's thinking of the overall last, the account of the consummation. He might be like the last part of the final things or something like that. And in particular of the seduction of the whole world by the enemy and the devil, and after these things the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So, number 3, where then, you friends of Christ, shall I begin? And with what shall I make my commencement, or what shall I expound? And what witness shall I adduce for the things spoken? But let us take those. I can't remember what wish actually means. I think it's Latin for some kind, but but let us take those in regards to the prophets, I guess. But I guess this which means something, right? Paste and go. Which the best in manga? I don't know. Meaning. Meaning. Namely, as follows. Well, in regards to the prophets, I guess I could have understood it without, and what witness shall I adduce for the things spoken? But let us take those with whom we began this discourse, in regards to the prophets, and adduce them as credible witnesses to confirm our exposition of the matters discussed, and after them the teaching, or rather the prophecy of the apostles, so as to see how throughout the whole world they herald the day of the consummation. Herald, the day of consummation. Herald. That's an interesting word, I guess. Let's see here. Herald. Announces. Yeah, okay. Foreshadows. Okay. So, herald the day of the consummation. Since these then have also shown before time things not yet come to pass, and have declared the devices and deceits of wicked men who are destined to be made manifest, come and let us bring forward Yeshayahu, or Isaiah, as our first witness, inasmuch as he instructs us in the times of the consummation, inasmuch as he instructs us in the times of the consummation. In regards to the consummation, as far as I can see it, he must be taking it in regards of the end time, right? In regards of what is going to go on in regards to the end times. What then does he say? Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land strangers devour it in your presence. The daughter of Zion, in regards to Zion, is also another name for Jerusalem. The daughter of Zion shall be left as a cottage in a vineyard. A cottage. Not sure what that is, but then again, we have all these problems in regards to cottage. A small house with a single story. Not sure. Okay. Anyway, going back. Cottage. So be left as a little small house in a vineyard, and as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers. Well, a lodge, I guess, a little small, little thing which people don't really use. I guess they use it maybe a little for things of of stuff being in it. Also, right, we're gonna see him. Stay temporal, provide housing for a little small place, I guess, for things, that is, usually not used for other things than having things in it, anyway. Let's see, as a cottage in a vineyard, and as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Isaiah 1:7, you see, beloved, the prophet's illumination, whereby he announces that time so many generations before, for it is not of the Jews that he spoke this word of old, nor of the city of Zion, but of the church. That is a thing, right, where you have some people where they spiritualize things and all that. So, but anyway, but that's what he believes apparently. For all the prophets have declared Zion to be the bride brought from the nations. Well, again, you have some where they spiritualize things, or what do you call it? There's other words for it and all that. Of course, we knew that the Jews would come back at some point, and here they are. Okay, number 4. Of course, because the Jews, we have a lot of prophecy still in regards of the Jewish people. Now, actually, I was listening to Ken something. He had an interesting view in regards of the fig trees and the olive trees, which kind of, I can't really say that it's not true. At least, he's looking into for example the Dead Sea Scrolls and other old manuscripts, and surely there's a lot of things I don't agree with him. Like he's pushing like the rapture nonsense and all that, which I think is pretty clear that he's getting wrong, because sometimes he quotes the things that he's using for pushing the rapture nonsense, and it's like, okay, that's pretty clear that's just talking about the rapture of the two prophets in regards to the two lampstands, the two olive trees, the congregation of the 144,000 led by two stars, messengers, which of course, as far as I can see, would be the Apostle John and Eliyahu. That's the only two people in the book of the Bible, or the book collection of the Bible, that is actually talked about returning. So, which also some of the people of old apparently also seem to proclaim the same in regards of, which is also interesting. Anyway, so wherefore let us direct our discourse to a second witness, and of what sort is this? Listen to Hosea. I guess Hosea. That's one of the reasons why I like to actually have the Hebrew names of it. But anyway, Hosea, as he speaks thus grandly. In those days, the Lord, which probably would be Jehovah, in those days, the Lord, but as I don't know if the name is there or not, but probably the name is there. The Lord shall bring on a burning wind from the desert against them, and shall make their veins dry, and shall make their springs desolate, and all their goodly vessels. Oh, by the way, in regards of the fig tree and the olive tree, my bad, I didn't really get the point across. But he was actually talking about, in regards of from the Dead Sea Scrolls, as far as I could recall from what sources he was gaining this from, that the Jews seem to understand that the figs was unbelievers. Like, so if you have the fig tree, in regards of, like, I was instantly I was actually already thinking about these things. So it was interesting to hear his, the fig tree. Why is God using, or Jesus using the fig tree, right, as a parable for the fig tree beginning to come to life and all that. And then you have the olive trees, which seems to be in regards of Israel as well, but there seems to be, and then of course you also have the grapes in regards of the wines, which might be in regard, as far as I can see but anyway, the idea was that the fig trees was the unbelievers. So like the Jews have come back to the land, right? So the tree has began to, you see Israel back on the map, but they're mostly unbelievers. Only 0.3% of people in Israel believes in the Messiah, which is around 40 to 50,000 Jews, as far as I know, are Messianic. But anyway, so most of them are pretty much unbelievers, and of course 49% of the Jews are secular Jews. So of course, in regards of Israel, you also have around 20 to 21% of Arabs, which I think it's around 90% of the Mohammedans. Anyway, so I guess that's also to take into consideration overall in regards to the numbers. But anyway, so you have 49% of the Jews actually being secular Jews today. And only 0.3% of Messianic believers in Israel, which is around which is still 40 to 50,000 people, which is still a good amount. But of course, we know we have 144,000 perfect Israelis at some point standing up. But that's still future. That's also another thing that people make of issues in regards to the Book of Revelation. They tend to want to go into the trumpets and the bowls of wrath. The bowls of wrath, as far as I can see, comes around the 6-7 trumpets at the time. You have to remember there's two different stories. And both of the stories end with hails and thunders and earthquakes and all that. So that's a synchronization point of both stories. The second story begins with the woman and the dragon and all that. The first story is in regards to the seals and the 7 trumpets and all that. After the 7th trumpet, you see another story begins. Anyway, and you use those two stories to further, it is the same with Genesis. You have first one story and then you go into another story and you fix it, Anyway, it's kind of in regard, you don't, those chapter divisions are sometimes just utter rubbish and was inserted later on. And I do really wonder in regards to the Book of Revelation, where it says that you shouldn't edit anything or take anything away, as far as I recall, and yet they put in chapters like that sometimes doesn't make any sense and all that, when they could actually have done it in another way that would have preserved the text and still yet have had some sorting. Anyway, I would actually like to sort out the Book of Revelation just for myself as well, because I know it can be done, and I know it can be done much, much better, so people have a much easier way to actually see what is going on. Because first you have to find out, you have to go through all it's like swimming in peanut butter, on a lot of things, and it takes a lot of time to figure out what is actually this and that. But anyway, let's get. Oh yeah, so the according to Ken, in regards to prophecy, Ken something, and I think he makes some. He's really pushing the rapture nonsense, but I think it's so easily to reject it. So again, he's sometimes quoting the things, and you can figure out what he's actually, with the words that he's saying and what he's actually quoting and all that. You can see what mistakes he's making. So it's actually not, he has a lot of other good stuff, but on the rapture nonsense, that he has, and pushing it like, oh, the rapture just, could be around the corner and this and that and all that. He's absolutely terrible wrong in regards to that. But it's not so it's not that hard to eat the meat and spit out the bones in regards to that. Well, I guess everything could be, you grow all the time, so what might be easy for one might be hard for another and all that. But anyway, you pretty much have two so-called raptures. The first one is in the middle of the 7 years and the 3.5 years of the last time, until Jesus returns. And then you have the last 7th trumpet when Jesus comes back, and then you have another rapture of other people and all that. And the 144,000 coming back with Jesus, and you resurrection and rapture of others at that point where he's going to set up the kingdom of God and all that. But you do have a lot of, that's as far as I can, I'm just doing my best. If I'm making an error and all that, it's all on me. I'm just doing the best that I can, and just it's it's like prophecy. There's a lot of different people out there talking about these things, and it can be pretty heated in regards to things. But I think a lot of people are making a lot of mistakes. I think a lot of the mistakes can be pretty quickly, sorted out. But yeah. Anyway. So I'm just trying to do my best in regards to what I know. So number 4, wherefore let us direct our discourse to a second witness. And why am I not, usually I was, in the past, I was thinking, why are people using so much time on prophecy, right? because yeah, you have so many people out there who are not Christians. Like we should be pretty much using our time and effort in regards of getting people to Jesus, right? Um, I'm still like, and I'm now myself gotten into where using a lot of time on prophecy because you end up getting annoyed about all these different interpretations and all that, and you kind of just so I've ended up using a lot of time on it myself, and yeah, I was like remembering back to my like why are people even discussing this like the pre-mid or pre-rapture, mid-rapture, or post-rapture, and all these. Yeah, I don't know even why they use those words in regards to terms, but a rapture before the 7 years, or a rapture in the middle of it, or a rapture after it. It's like, and it's like, those 7 years, they're after the tribulation of the Gentiles, and they tend to mix it together. It's a common mistake where you actually see like with the Jews mixing the first and the second coming in regards to Jesus, and thereby rejecting him. It's a common mistake made by a lot of people mixing things together, which actually doesn't have anything doesn't have anything to do with each other. So it's just so like the two different tribulations of the Gentiles and the Jews tend to be mixed together. Um, because the great tribulation of the Gentiles is in seal 6. Now the great, the 7 years for the Jews, the last 7 years begins at the sixth trumpet. So it's like there's a good amount of things going on between those times. So yeah. So I feel like I've sorted out, that a lot of the things are sorted out in regards to where it's like it's what do you call it, like awesome, right? But then again, I can still see that there's a lot of things that I haven't sorted out. But at least, I feel like it's awesome to see that getting to that point of, because there's so much nonsense out there. So getting through all the nonsense and actually figuring out what is actually going on those levels. Um, but there's still a lot of things that I know that I do not know and haven't totally solidified. So, some things are watery, some of things are gassy, and some things are probably also like plasma, at the point where I just don't know, but usually we have some things that are solid, we have some things that are a little, watery, um, liquid, sorry, that's what we usually call it. There's a little more liquid, and then we have more things that are a little more gassy, and then I guess we have some things that are still plasma in its plasma state of things. Um, by the way, you have four different things. Usually, you people remember like three, but like you have that fourth point in regard to things. So, right, it's the same thing like the Trinity. You have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? That's what usually is known, right? But they forget the fourth aspect, the twist, the children of God, which is usually actually there, like go and baptize them in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, right? You have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but you also have the twist. Who are they baptizing? Oh, there you go, the twist. And that is the same thing with when you have solid, you have gas, or you have solid, you have liquid, and you have gas, and that's usually the things that people think about, right? But you have a fourth stage of the what do you call it? The I can't remember what it's called. The fourth state of, I guess, atoms, or what are they called? Anyway, of vibration and all that, which is plasma. In regards of you get enough heat into it, or enough heat, and it becomes plasma. That's the fourth stage. People tend to forget about that. But anyway, um, and of course, everything is pretty much in science is pretty much heat in some sense. Um, Everything above 0 Kelvin is pretty much. Let me see if I can remember. Yeah, I think it's I need to re-engage, I guess, in science in regards to those data points. But anyway, I can't remember all the. I think it's like minus 273 Celsius or something like that. I might very much get that wrong in regards, but everything after that is pretty much heat. So you have like 0 degrees. That's in regards of water, right? And go from a solid into to water or liquid, and then of course at some point it gets to gas. Anyway, and of course at some point it gets into plasma stage. Oh, that molecules, right? Molecules of water, right? So at some point it gets into the plasma stage. Anyway, you can look that up for yourself. I can't remember all the details on that. Anyway, wherefore let us direct our discourse to a second witness. And of what sort is this one? Listen to Isaiah as he speaks thus. Oh yeah. Just getting back to Ken, right? So he was talking about that the figs were unbelievers, right? And that from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then in regards to the believers, the messianics, would the true believers would be called in regards to an olive tree or olive trees. And I already solidified that as well in regards to the book of Revelation, right? You have 144,000, which is the two lampstands of God at that point, which are messianic Jews, but they're called the two olive trees. And it's like, yeah, sure, that fits. So he apparently gets this from the Dead Sea Scrolls, as far as I recall. The Jewish guys in regards to the Dead Sea, where they apparently see the figs as unbelieving Israel. So it's still Israel, but they're just unbelievers, pretty much. And then you have the olive trees, which are believing Jews. And then you have, as far as I can see, you have a third aspect of things, and I think it's just talking about Israel as a whole. So, and that would be but I haven't solidified, I'm still, just, but that would be the, grapes, or what's called the vines of the grapes, which it seems like you have the second harvest in the book of Revelation. It's talking about the grapes and all that. You first have the tribulation of the wheat, of course, and that will probably be the Gentile tribulation, although not totally solid on that. But you have like two times where they swing the things for harvest. And first time you have the wheat, and the second time you have the grapes that are pressed out in this. And of course, in regards of God's wrath, is then further. Anyway, so anyway, that's far as I can go. As in regards to, there might be some things that been trying the best that I can. So take the meat and spit out the bones. Just I'm still researching a lot of things and all that. It just helps sometimes also talk about the things, because it also helps you meditate on them and chew them, and fix things and all that. But anyway, any person that takes prophecy into the trumpets and the seven bowls of wrath, or the vials of wrath, is just absolutely, it's just rubbish. There's no way you're going to. And the 144,000 that are sealed and protected, and as far as I can see, the witnesses, there's witnessing to the world, and they go further into the sixth trumpet. And they have 1,260 days to witness, which would be the first part of the week of the 7 last years. And then they're butchered by the Antichrist, or the Pope, the Roman Pope. And then 3.5 days later, they are resurrected. And they are told to come up to the heavens, the first real rapture. Well, I guess you might have had something when Jesus was resurrected and all that. I'm not solid on that at all. Some believe that the 24 elders might actually have been, a forerunner when Jesus. I can't really. I have nothing in regards of solid evidence or anything like that in regards to that. But we do see these 24 elders in the, But I don't know. I really don't know. We also see, of course, the graves springing up and all that as well at the point. in regards to Jesus and all that. Um, and there's some information outside the New Testament in regards to that. Again, the thing is, some of the data points in the New Testament, which is like you're like, I would like to know a little more about that, right? But there's pretty much nothing in the New Testament about it. So there's a lot of other Christian writings, like from of old, which then seems to talk about some of these subjects. So it seems like that Christians of old knew things as, standard thing, which we don't know. That it's not really found in the New Testament as of such, but they knew about it clearly. So they knew that these things, but it was just not, you don't have much information in the New Testament about it. So it's kind of, yeah. Same thing with the Old Testament. Like there's other documents outside the Bible of the so-called Old Testament as well. So it's not like you know it's a thing. It's true. It's so there are things outside the Bible as well. Although you really have to be careful, of course. But there is some interesting documents and things of outside the outside the Bible as well. Um, like the five laws. We have multiple books in the so-called Old Testament being spoken about. Well, if you want to read more about this, you can go to this book or that book or whatever book and all that. And it's like, well, that book isn't found in the Bible, or these books are not found in the Bible. Well, what are you going to do with that? Um. Anyway, I think in the future we'll see a library further opening up in regards to many of these books in preserved state, including the original Book of Moses. But I could be wrong. But anyway, we'll see. I think at some point God will, open up, allow us to further get access to further information from the past that will help the believers to stand against the devil's lies and all that. It seems like Satan is doing a point, right, and then God is, right, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, right, where we just get more data points to further verify things. Um, Whereas we had like I think it's like the neck, the Gnostic scrolls on the other side and all that, right? Anyway, wherefore let us direct our discourse to a second witness, and of what sort is this one? Oh yeah, by the way, in regards of the fig tree and the olive trees, it's just I can't, when he said that, right? And I'm like, I can't really, I can't discount it, because if you look at the olive tree, yeah, the olive tree comes back, right? It begins to become, well, it begins to soften and all that, learn a parable and all that in regards to the fig tree and all that. While the Jews coming back to Israel, most of them are non-believers, right? So that fits, And in regards to the believers in the book of Revelation, in regards to the two olive trees, well, that works as well in regards of who the olive trees are, the 144,000 Messianic Jews. So I can't really refute what he's saying. And he says that he's getting the information, as far as I recall it, from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Jews of the, in regards to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I'm like, well, okay, it seems to be fitting. And then I wonder, what about the vines? In regards to the grapes, right? Are the grapes just representing both of the groups? Which they actually might be, because of course the Jews, even if they are disbelievers, are still the chosen people of God. And if you do something to them, even if they're in disbelief, God tend to become angry, right? So it would make sense that if at some point you see a butchering of the Jews, whether they are believers or not, God will punish the world for this. So, and we've seen that in the past, even if the Jews are going astray, you don't mess with the Jews, even if they go astray. You don't make fun of them. You don't further help their progress into further, you don't, you try to help the Jews. You don't try to go against them in regards of making fun of them in their, because these have been chosen by God to even, to Yeah, so these the Jews are special people, even if in disbelief and all that, stiff necked people and all that. God pretty much chose them, and so He's the one that kind of. But anyway, so you can see that people or that God is also punishing people that kind of made fun of even if the Jews were straying away from the truth. So, but anyway, so you still, I wouldn't go against the Jews, even if they're disbelievers. Um, yeah. So I think that might be in regards to the grapes. In regards to, I'm still trying, sorting things out. But I do wonder if it's just directly because we know that the last tribulation that will be is pretty much in regards to the Jews. So you have the Gentile tribulation first, and then you have which seems to be fitting in regards of those two data points, right? You have the wheat first being harvested, and then you would have the Jews afterwards in regards to that tribulation. So that seems to be fitting in regards to two tribulation times as well. Yeah, it's just a thing. Yeah, right. Anyway, listen to Hosea as he speaks thus grandly. In those days, the Lord shall bring on a burning wind from the desert against them, and shall make their veins dry, and shall make their springs desolate, and all their godly vessels shall be spoiled, because they rose up against God. They shall fall by the sword, and their woman with child shall be ripped up. Hosea 13:15. So we're going from, so this is Hosea, I guess. Hosea is like Hosea. I can't remember how you actually say that in Hebrew. Hosea. Anyway. And what else is this burning wind from the east than the Antichrist? That is to destroy and dry up the veins of the waters and the fruits of the trees in his times, because men set their hearts on his works, for which reason he shall indeed destroy them, and they shall serve him in his pollution. I don't know. I can't really say much in regards to this. That is a thing in regards to the book of Revelation where it seems like people, when they talk about the kings of the east, right? And I'm like, the kings of the east, as far as I would think that they would be the Messiah and, coming from the east and all that. And the saints, that would be the 144,000 saints, but people tend to believe that they are the bad guys, and like, I'm not entirely sure where they're getting this from, but I might be wrong. But it's like you see like the kings are coming from the east, and then you see the devil collects the nations of the world against, which I would think would be against the Messiah and the saints coming back, right, from the east. But anyway, let's need some more solidification in regards to that. But apparently people try to promote that these from the east are actually not what I would think in regards to the context of it. But anyway, whatever. But again, there's so much nonsense out there in regards to prophecies, so you really have to be careful. Anyway, number 5. Mark the agreement of prophet with prophet. Acquaint yourself also with another prophet. Also, it's interesting when people say, well, you shouldn't read the Old Testament, right? That's the Old Testament is only for the Jews, and whatnot, Well, how are you going to read the book of Revelation without the book of Daniel? And the book of Daniel is found in the so-called Old Testaments, right? And so many of these symbols and all that, how are you going to further, anyway, decipher things, like if you're not going to read the so-called Old Testament. Anyway, mark the agreement of prophet with prophet. Acquaint yourself also with another prophet, who expresses himself in like manner. For Amos prophesied of the same things in the manner quite in accordance. Thus says the Lord, forasmuch therefore as you have beaten the poor with the fist, and taken choice gift from him, you have built houses, but you shall not dwell in them. You have planted pleasant, vineyards, right? But you shall not drink wine of them. For I know it's like in regards to the vineyard. Jesus, when you're talking about the vineyard, right? Jesus is using a parable in regards of a vineyard, as far as I recall. So he makes a vineyard and all that, and then the God goes away, and then he sends a prophet and another person, a servant, to further gain his and then they butcher him or slaughter him or kick him out and all that. Then he sends another and another, and then in the end, God sends his son. Because he's like, well, if they don't want to listen to my servants, well, maybe they will listen to my son, right? And then they butcher the son instead and all that, to take the vineyards for themselves. I think it's a vineyard that is being used at that point, and that would just be the whole of Israel, right? It's not like we're talking about unbelievers or believers. Well, it seems to be like that it's just talking about the Jews as a whole, that. Anyway, of course, those who are the top Jews that are kind of killing also as well those servants and all that. But yeah, that doesn't talk about fig trees or olive trees or anything. It's just talking about the vineyard of God, right? That's a tree as well. I don't know. I can't remember the parable of the tree, if that's actually a specific tree. Something in regards to fruits. The tree are not making any fruit, and it's talked about that. Give me a year or something like that, and I'll Then he digs around it and fixes it with different things, and let's see if it actually provides fruit, right? And if it doesn't provide fruit, then rip it up, right? I'm not sure if there's any specific tree in regards to that. I guess it's a fruit tree of some kind. It should produce some kind of fruit, right? But the thing is, it doesn't produce any fruit. But I do wonder if that's actually a specific tree or just a fruit tree. Maybe the tree is not that important in regards to that. Anyway, just some ideas. It was very interesting in regards of Ken. I think it's called Ken Johnson, actually. It was very interesting, Ken Johnson, in regards of this Dead Sea point, and I think he got it from the Dead Sea, some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, in regards of the fig tree are the unbelieving Jews, and the olive tree are like believing Jews. And I'm like, going through the back of my head, it's like, well, there's nothing really where I can say, no, that's not the case, It actually seems to be supportive of at least two of the data points where I recall, right, in regards to the fig trees, that the fig tree in regards to the leaves becomes soft, and in regards to understanding that parable. And then, of course, in regards to the 144,000, which have pretty much already have established out the 144,000 Messianic Israelites, and they're the olive tree, they're the two lampstands at that point, standing and testifying to the world. And they're also the first fruit of Jesus, and they're standing and testifying from the sixth seal to the sixth trumpet, and then they're murdered. So anyway, by the Antichrist. So for Amos prophesied of the same things in a manner quite in accordance. Thus says the Lord, for as much therefore as you have beaten the poor with the fist and taken choice gift from him, you have built houses, but you shall not dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but you shall not drink wine of them. For I know your manifold transgressions in trampling justice beneath your foot, and taking a bribe, and turning aside the poor in the gate from their right. And in regards to the gate, that I think the judges was usually the elders and so forth, could be in the gates and all that of the old. But anyway, therefore the prudent shall keep silence in that time, for it is an evil time. Learn, beloved, the wickedness of the men of that time, how they spoil houses and fields, and take even justice from the just. For when these things come to pass, you may know that it is the end. For this reason are you instructed in the wisdom of the prophets and the revelation that is to be in those days. And all the prophets, as we have already said, have clearly signified the things that are to come to pass in the last times, just as they also have declared things of old. Now, I don't have enough solidity in regards of these quotations that he's doing. It is interesting. There's a Jewish Christian that also talks about the, I guess the trouble of Jacob, which seems to be the last 3.5 years, well, in regards of the great tribulation in some sense. But this is mostly for the Jews. The Gentile Christians pretty much have been butchered in an unnumbered number already in Seal 6. So, and I guess somewhat, if you think about it, is kind of the Antichrist is taking more and more power. So he's butchering all the Christians in the world. And of course that would make him gain more power, because if you can kill off the truth, it's kind of, then it becomes more darker and darker and darker in some sense, because no one actually is standing up for the truth anymore, because there's no Christians, right? There's no children of the truth anymore. And if there's no children of the truth, then there's a lot of children of lies and deceptions that are running with the devil. So that's kind of a thing. So I don't know enough in regards. So as far as the only thing I pretty much have discerned is that there's two tribulations. There's one for the Gentiles, one for the Jews. In regards of the trouble of Jacob and all that, that's another thing that's kind of where I need to further investigate things and deepening in regards of things and all that. But yeah, it seems like you have the last 7 years at the very, very end of the timeline of the book of Revelation, which kind of was a surprise to me, because it kind of makes things goes kind of into where I also realized that it's like there's a time for the Gentiles, and then the tipping point at the Seal 6 where it goes back to the Jews. So you have like where it seems like it like goes upward for the Jews and goes downward for the Gentiles. And then at a specific point, it flips. The Jews are then on the top of things, and the Gentiles are then, and the tipping point is in Seal 6. So I'll be the total tipping point as far as I can see. So number 6, but not to expand our arguments entirely in going over the words of all the prophets, after citing one other, let us revert to the matter in hand. What is it then that Micah says in his prophecy? Thus says the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people error, that bite with their teeth and cry to him peace, and if it was not put into their mouth, they prepared war against him. Therefore night shall be unto you, that you shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that you shall not divine, and the sun shall not go down over the prophets, and the day shall be the sun shall not go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Doesn't it sound like actually that the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them? I don't know, but anyway, might be a mistranslation, I'm not sure. But it says, and the sun shall not go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them, and the seers shall be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. It just seems like there's a mistake here in regards of, anyway. And shall be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. Of course, this is from Micah 3:5-7, so I could check it out, actually, if there's maybe a little mistake there, or maybe not. But anyway, it just seems like, and the sun shall not go down over the prophets. Well, it seems like it's going down on the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them, right? It just seems to be a falsehood here. I don't know. Micah 3, we could check it out, right? Micah 3:5, I think it was, right? Therefore night shall be unto you, that you shall not have a vision, or I guess it's a little, no. Vision, and it shall be dark unto you, and ye shall not divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets. There we go. That seems like that's kind of, it seems like that was a mistake there in regards of the, so, and that they say go over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. So, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them, and the seers shall be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. Like, that seems also to make much more sense. But anyway, Micah 3, 5, and 7. Now, these things we have recounted beforehand, in order that you may know the pain that is to be in the last times, and the perturbation and the man of life on the part of all men towards each other, and their envy and hate and strife, and their negligence of the shepherds toward the sheep, and the unruly position of the people toward the priest. Now, again, we have the 144,000 in a period at the last times, but of course they're killed, and when they're killed and they're told to come up, I guess Satan will have free rule, and his puppet, the Roman Pope, and the false prophet, the Jesuits, will have full rule at that time, these 3.5 years, although might actually be some bowls that is being poured out in that period of time. But I need to, I know the bowls are the last wrath of God upon the world, and the sickness of the Antichrist and all that. Not totally solidified on where the bowls are. As far as I recall, there are some data points which seems to suggest when they actually are and all that, but I haven't totally solidified it yet. In my mind, it's like I'm looking over and out over all these data and information, and it's like I feel like I could really go forward, and yet I seem to be held back somewhat, and I'm not sure in regards of just the brain that just, usually the brain, the things tends to be led to but anyway, who knows? Maybe we'll see how it goes. It's just, the last time, where it's like 2 weeks ago, where pretty much the last two Sabbaths, well, not the last Sabbath, but the last Sabbath again, or the day of rest, it seems to be, that was the time, as I recalled it, that I actually realized that was like two tribulations, and there's a lot of things that actually got sorted out, where it's like gotta further, move forward in regards to moment, I guess. Oh yeah, I think also the moment where I realized that the 7 years might in regards to be, and then it's sort of ruined a good amount of things but you have to go where it takes you, but then of course, everything needs to be kind of fitting together without forcing things together. So I think that was also where I realized, well, there doesn't need to necessarily be a temple standing when the great tribulation of the Gentiles is ongoing. So I'm not even sure. I'm still not sure that there actually is a temple at that point. There might be, but it's not kind of a thing that I see is necessary. And in regards to the idol, if the idol is first put up in the temple in the last 7 years, well, then clearly that's not going to then be happening at the great tribulation of the Gentiles, which come before that. So I thought actually that would actually, in regards to the great tribulation of the Gentiles, I thought a temple would actually be standing, and the idol would also be standing at that time. But that seems to be incorrect. So the tribulation of the Gentiles could actually, at least as far as I can see for now, happen even before a temple is going to stand. But we know when the temple is going to stand, but I don't know when it's going to actually be, created. We know there's a temple at the end times, because the sacrifice is going to be taken away from the Jews. It's at least standing the last 7 years of the time. And of course, we know it's going to be defiled. The sacrifice is stopped, and idol is set up, and all that. And there seems to also be, after the 1260 days have passed, and the 2 prophets are killed, or the 144,000, and they come to life and all that. And then, pretty much Satan has his last 3.5 years. And defiling the temple with an idol, and of course the false prophet is going to make that. Now, I do wonder, in regards of the idol actually might have been made before it actually is put up in the temple. I haven't really sorted that out, but the idol that is, made to speak and all that, which who knows might be some AI or spiritual demonic things, or both. Pretty much, it could be both, because AI seems to be, where demons or unclean spirits seems to be able to kind of do things in regards of the digital world. Um, and I'm missing the words here, but they kind of seem to be able to, do things to so if you have an AI that might be able to speak and all that, it might also be demonically influenced in some sense. Anyway, whatever the case, I do wonder if that actually could be made before it's actually set up in the temple. So some things I need to further chew on and meditate on and look into in regards to scriptures. So because it might be set up in the temple where it shouldn't stand at the very end, but that doesn't mean that it might not have been made already before that, and be maybe at the point of the tribulation of the Gentiles. But I'm still still looking into it. Of course, things will happen as they happen. So whether we know or get things correct and all that, of course, God's, it will happen as it will happen. In regards to when Jesus came, even if people didn't get it right, well, things will happen as they happen, right? So anyway, so wherefore all shall walk after their own will, like they will deny the law of God and just do whatever they want, right? And they will be lawless, and the children will lay hands on their parents. The wife will give up her own husband to death, and the husband will bring his own wife to judgment like a criminal. We pretty much already have had things of that nature in history. Just read Fox's Book of Martyrs and see what families could do to their dear, mother or wife, or and so forth. Anyway, but the Fox's Book of Martyrs, in regards to Christians waking up and seeing what these demonic people of the families could end up doing to them. Yeah, so you're thinking like, that sounds a little too much, that people couldn't. Well, just read the book, Fox's Book of Martyrs, and figure out how your family can surely become your enemy. The wife will give up her own husband to death, and the husband will bring his own wife to judgment like a criminal. Masters will lord over their servants savagely, and servants will assume an unruly demeanor towards their masters. None will reverence the gray hairs of the elderly, and none will have pity upon the comeliness of the youthful. Comeliness. That's an interesting word, comeliness. I guess being somewhat in a... Okay. I would think it would be something a little... and none will have pity upon the comeliness of the youthful. I'm not sure it's kind, but anyway, okay. Was it quoted from some place? 2 seconds. There we go. So, none will have reverence the gray hairs of the elderly, and none will have pity upon the comeliness of the youthful. Is this actually taken from some place in the... Or is he just, at this point, just taking all the things together? Because in regards to the comeliness, I'm not entirely sure that would actually be, I have a difficult way of expressing it, but when you have like younger people in regards of the youthfulness, in regards to the naivety and the of young, well, that's not the right word I'm looking for either. Anyway, I think it's kind of a little different than what in regards of that beauty and all that. I don't think it's the beauty that's being talked about. But yeah, anyway, kind of not like that. Like when you have children coming to and yet not maybe having so much knowledge about things, and yet still having still believing in it, and maybe not being helped further in a direction of, yeah, anyway, I don't know. Anyway, the temples of God will be like houses, and I guess temple of God will be probably congregations in regards to different households, I guess. There'll be overturnings of the churches everywhere. So I guess the temples of God, I guess, he's talking about, houses of where people, usually congregations, are collected together, right? It's pretty much just meeting houses, and you can meet at home with other people and all that. Anyway, and there will be overturnings of the churches everywhere. The scriptures will be despised. Yeah, so the scriptures will be despised. And everywhere they will sing the songs of the adversary. Okay, the enemy or the Antichrist and all that. Fornications and adulteries and perjuries will fill the land. I'm not sure what perjuries, can't remember the perjury. Is that false oath? Okay, something, false oath or something. Anyway, will fill the land. Sorceries and incantations and divinations will follow after these with all false and seals. There's also in regards to the book of the Didache, which is said to be the first collection of Christian rules. Although it might not be, there might be some things that have been added to it and all that. But we do have 2 Christian books in regards of law of rules. I would like to actually read the other as well, but it seems to be a very old document. Although I'm not sure, I don't think we have that many manuscripts of it. It was refound not that long ago in regards of history. I can't remember the date, but it was refound in a version. I'm not sure how many documents we really have of it. At least we have one. But who knows if it's actually totally original. But it does have some interesting and Jewish things in the document in itself. And it also talks about lawlessness. It talks about some of the end times of things and all that, what they expected, which is interesting as well. And on the whole, from among those who profess to be Christian. But I guess, when you grow in, the more you understand of scripture and of prophecy and things of this nation, of things and all that, the more you also grow yourself in understanding what is to come and all that. So it becomes more of a normal thing. And of course, then when you speak, you just speak from what you have been given, and thereby automatically, further us, anyway. And on the whole, from among those who profess to be Christians will rise up then false prophets, false apostles, impostors, mischief makers, evildoers, liars against each other, adulterers, fornicators, robbers, grasping. Not sure what grasping is. Grasping, let's see here. Grasping. Oh, someone that acquires wealth and all that. Okay. Grasping, perjury, or, I guess oath takings and all that. Mendacity. I don't know what that is either. It's like, okay, let's see here what we have. Given to lying. Okay. Mendacious. Okay, yeah. The thing is, of course, historically we have had, people all, when Jesus talks about these people who say that, well, he is Christ, and again, whether you interpret it one way or the other way and all that, we have both, We have both people proclaiming they themselves is Jesus, misleading people, and we have people saying that Jesus is Jesus, yet misleading people, right? So we have both of these things, and we have pretty much had them like the last 2,000 years, right? But it seems like the end times will be a huge growing of bullshitters, pretty much. Anyway, hating each other, the shepherds will be like wolves. The priest will embrace falsehood. The monks will lust after the things of the world. The rich will assume hardness of heart. Well, I'm smelling something. Is it smelling like burning? Maybe I'm not sure. Nah, it smells a little like it's burning or something like that. Oh, that's not good. What is burning? Doesn't seem to be any smoke, so no wonder. Maybe it's just the pillow that was like, close to the. Yeah, okay. Anyway, let's get back to it. Okay. So, hating each other, the shepherds will be like wolves, the priests will embrace falsehood, the monks will lust after the things of the world, the rich will assume hardness of heart, the rulers will not help the poor, the powerful will cast off all pity, the judges will remove justice from the just, and blinded with the bribes, they will call in unrighteousness. So the end time will be that's the thing, right? What is love? Well, love is keeping the commandments of God. Why is the love growing cold? Because of lawlessness. So what is the commandments of God? Love. Love is not running away with lawlessness and breaking the law. Love is law obedience to the law. Anyway, of course, the man of sin, or the Antichrist, is known as the man of sin, and of course, sin is also known as the man of lawlessness, right? And the sin, of course, is transgression of the law. And he, according to Daniel, he thinks to change times and laws. Well, if he's thinking to change times, well, that also includes festivals and laws. Well, then he's only thinking to do it, right? Yeah. So that means that the law is still valid. Yeah. Anyway, of course, Jesus is rejecting people who are without the law of Moses. Lord, 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 haven't we done this and that and all that? And Jesus tells them, I never knew you. And why? Because they have rejected the law of Moses. Anyway, number 8. And what am I to say with respect to men when the very elements themselves will disown their order? There will be earthquakes in every city and plagues in every country. That seems like, in regards of earthquakes. We have, in regards to the last part of, I'm listening to some of these at the moment in regards of Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. I'm trying to sort out in regards of those what Jesus is talking about end times and all that. The problem is he's being asked 3 different things, and 2 of them might be pretty much the same, but the first thing is not the same. The first thing is in regards to the temple and the building standing on the podium of, the Temple Mount. And that, of course, was destroyed 70 AD. But the second thing is in regards to the end time and the return of Jesus. That might pretty much be somewhat of the same. But that's the thing is, he's when he's answering is kind of, But he's also talking about earthquakes and regards of people not having food and things of that nature. And but when and so forward and all that, that's kind of he's trying to sort that further out in regards of locking it into the rest of the the book of Revelation and things of that nature in regards to the rest of the prophecy. And he also talks about the stars and the moon and things of that nature as well. And just trying to sort that out as well. I think he also talks about plagues and food shortages and earthquakes and all that in regards to, when he talks about in those 3 places in those 3 books. Anyway, when he's answering the questions. And what am I to say with respect to men when the very elements themselves will disown their order? There'll be earthquakes in every city, so that's like we have some earthquakes, and plagues in every country. Again, that seems to be some of the things that also Jesus is talking about. And monstrous thunderings and frightful lightnings will burn up both houses and fields. Okay. Storms of winds will disturb both sea and land excessively, and there will be unfruitfulness on the earth, I guess, in regards of maybe no food or something like that, and a roaring of the sea, and an intolerable agitation on account of souls, and the destruction of men. There'll be signs in the sun. There we go with the signs in the sun. It seems a lot of when Jesus talks about things, it seems to be somewhat of the same that is being mentioned here. There'll be signs in the sun and signs in the moon, deflections in the stars. Deflections in the stars. Deflections. The thing is, the book of Revelation, I know there's 2 times, I think, in the first story, in regards to the seals and all that, where it seems to be talking twice in regards of sun, moon, and stars and all that. And the first time doesn't seem to be, it seems to be symbolic, and the second time might be, I need to sort further things in regards to that, but it's like it can't be literal the first time, as far as I can see, because if it's literal the first time, then they are pretty much gone. So it seems to be more of a symbolic interpretation, maybe of things that, and maybe it's actually talking already about it the next, afterwards. But anyway, the stars falling from heavens or something of that nature. I can't remember totally exactly, but it's a thing, right? But there seems to be, at some point, there seems to be some kind of things going on in the heavens. And there will be unfruitful on the earth, and a roaring in the sea, and an intolerable agitation on account of souls, and destruction of, agitation. Let's try that one. Copy to, see here. A mental state of extreme emotional disturbance. Okay. Agitation, okay. And a roaring in the sea, and an intolerable agitation on account of souls, and the destruction of men. There will be signs in the sun and signs in the moon, deflections in the stars, distresses of nations, intemperateness in atmosphere. Intemperate, I guess, in regards of differences in the temperature. In the atmosphere, discharges of hail upon the face of the earth. I guess that makes sense in regards of if there's like kind of weird things going on. Like on a sunny day when it all of a sudden begins to hail, It's like, what is going on here? Actually, I don't remember things of that in my youth in regards to that. But then sometimes here, like you have the hail phenomenon, actually. Where it's like, oh, it's a good weather, and all of a sudden hails just begin, Anyway, discharges of hail upon the face of the earth, winters of excessive severity, different frost, inexorable scorching winds, unexpected thunderings, unlooked for conflagrations. Conflagration, what is that? I guess, go back to... A very intense and uncontrolled fire.
Conflagration.
Okay. Okay. Unexpected thunderings, unlooked for conflagrations, I guess, fires that are just burning on. And in general, lamentation and mourning in the whole earth, without consolation. For because iniquity shall abound, then we go with the iniquity. And of course, iniquity in regards of lawlessness, It's all and kind of nice to actually see the words behind things sometimes. And I really do wonder in regards of the Bible and all that, in regards of reading the Bible. I shouldn't really read any of the translations anymore. I should just read the Greek and the Hebrew. And not saying that I can do Greek and Hebrew, but you do have some books where you have the Greek and the Hebrew pretty much. Yeah, I do have some digital things as well, but I'm thinking like in the physical thing as well. I shouldn't really, I should pretty much put aside some of these other translations and just go directly to the Hebrew and the Greek. At least you don't have the translation barriers as much. You still can see the Greek and the Hebrew directly, pretty much. It just takes one layer away from translation issues. Because every time you translate a text, you kind of have to. There's all you do have to juggle around in regards to, do you want, you always lose some information when you translate from one language to another language. This is just how it is. Anyway, but yeah, I do have the ESV in Hebrew, and in regards of where you have the Hebrew and you have the ESV, and I probably should just read that when I'm reading the Old Testament in physical form. Um, and then actually get the Greek as well. Although I'm not sure what Greek version they actually are doing. If they're using some kind of other kind of Greek than the received text. They might actually be using something that is not the received text, which of course would be a problem. I think the ESV is based on not the received text, right? Anyway, so, but in regards to the Hebrew, that's what is translated from usually in regards of what we have already, right? So that's, yeah. Anyway, okay. So for because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, and it's pretty much because of lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall grow cold. But again, like, so not always easy with the translations and all that. I think if we actually go and look at Matthew 21:12, we can actually find it in the text. Matthew 21:12, I think it was. Nope. Which was it? 21:12. It was not 21:12. Come on. And Jesus went into the temple of God. I don't see any. No. Wasn't it Matthew 20? Well, they might get it wrong, I guess. Matthew 21:1 or 12. I could also just search on it, but anyway. Grow cold. Honestly, it doesn't seem to be at the specific point where I know it's in there somewhere. So it's not like a biggie thing, but yeah, okay. So the many shall wax cold. Matthew 21:12. Well, anyway, by reason of the agitation and confusion of all these, the Lord of the universe cries in this gospel, saying, "Take heed that you be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying," and then we go with so he seems to be on the same place as well in regards of things. So yeah, that seems to be where he also is. I just in regards to the because of the iniquity, it doesn't seem to be Matthew 21:12. Like, why is like, you don't see here. I just wanted to find it in regards of what it actually is. 24:12. Like, it just seems to be some mistakes here and there. Well, I guess it's 24:12. Yeah, and because of iniquity, that we're gonna see with the word anomia, lawlessness, the condition of being without law. So there's also a problem with some of the translations where they use different words, like in the King James version, and they will use different words for. Let's see. Maybe I need to go to the King James in regards of like to say like anomia, iniquity, law, and unrighteousness, right? And it's like it just seems like iniquity. What is like iniquity, right? Why is this moving around? I guess this is one of these new features. Like you can move it around. Like what do I need that for? I actually asked them about things in regards to this program, but nope, they wouldn't do that. Like kind of sorting this out. Oh, they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to have me be able to sort it out. So they gave me like this workaround in regards of it, where I could actually change the files and then make it like I wanted, but then you can't update it or update the things. It was like, oh, give me a break with the nonsense. Why don't you just make a feature like that? But the programmers want to use their time on all sorts of other nonsense things and all that. Anyway, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So again, iniquity in regards of anomia, the condition without law. So because of lawlessness, I guess we can see other translations actually. Let's see here what we have. An account of the, here we have the Greek, right? Kai, I'm not so good at Greek and all that, but anyway, Kai dia to pelitin chine or something like that. Chin anomian pitsikititai or something like that. Iagatiton polon. Something of that. I don't know. But anyway, that's the Greek, right? So you have the Greek and you have, and on account of multiplying, the lawlessness shall be made cold, the love of many. The love of many shall grow cold, Again, that's the thing, right? When you go from one language to another language, sometimes you need to flip words around to actually make them grammatical sound good, Here we have the Aramaic, and because of, let's see here, because of what? Well, it doesn't, I don't know why it's stopped, it tends to, you need to go in here, maybe it's the other one in regards of, I think they stopped making, there it go, so we need to push there, and then it should work. I don't know why, but, it's just stupid, it worked in the beginning. Oh, that abundance, like see abundance, because of abundance, and then I guess this one, become cold. What in regards to what? Unrighteousness, okay? So I guess they fix it to iniquity. Lexum meaning unrighteousness, iniquity. Evil, because of evil, well, which in regards of lawlessness. So what is evil? Well, that's lawlessness. It's actually, that's actually pretty good. Evil is lawlessness. Equal lawlessness. That's actually a pretty good. So what is good? Good is law obedience. Law obedience. Obedience. Yeah, we'll just write it down here on the pillow here. Yeah, why not? It's like so good is equal law obedience. Evil is lawlessness. Pretty much. Lawlessness without, law. So you have lawlessness without law, or law obedience, or you could say law obedience. What you could law keeping. Well, I don't know. Law keeping would also not be bad, right? But law obedience, you are obedient to the law. That is good. That is love. So love is good, which is equal law obedience. So hatred would be evil. Well, again, that's a problem actually, because not all hatred is actually bad. So that's maybe not the right word, because hatred of lawlessness is not a bad thing, right? So might be another word for uncaring, I guess. Some say, well, love, the opposite of love is indifference. Maybe, but indifference, like indifference, but they're not kind of indifference, because they tend to hate the law of God, right? So, and follow the Antichrist in regards of, and we also have like Jesus in regards of the Jewish king. Okay, Jesus, and then you have the Antichrist, or the faker. Oh, I need Antichrist. I need some paper. Okay, anyway, there's just some notes here. Yeah. So what do you have a pillow for? A white pillow? Well, so I can write notes on it, of course. It's just anyway. So because of iniquity, here you go with the King James version. I actually do wonder what the Geneva Bible actually say. See, do we have the Geneva Bible in maybe here? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we have the Geneva Bible. So we just need to go to the right place, although I'm not sure how you do that in this application. I haven't used it that much. It's become a lot more smooth, this application, for sure, than it was in the past. But in regards of installing things and how to, and then it's like stops. Like, are you kidding me? Why are you stopping? Like, it's like a lot of applications these days tend to put brakes on. Like, it's just stupid, you know. New window. Let's put English, Geneva. Okay, so how do I find the place I want to be in the book? So do I need to push here? No. Like, how do you actually? Oh, are you kidding me? So yeah, like have like okay, let's see here. No, can I? No. I have no idea because we're like in Genesis or something like that, right? Yep. So how do I actually, like, how do I get to the place I want to be? Like, how hard can it be? Well, apparently very hard. You know, say, give me a break. Search what? Anyway, like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to. As far as I recall, in the past, I could figure it out. I guess they made. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, it was there. Okay. We'll need to go to Matthew 24:12. Well, I could still remember that. Yeah, and because of iniquity shall be increased, and love of many shall be cold. Yeah, kind of. You know, the Geneva, I don't think seems to be any better. It's sad. Would have thought it would actually maybe be better than the King James version of that. Um, let's see here. I wonder if Tyndale did the same thing. Did I delete Tyndale's document in regard to that? Probably. Let's see here. Let's see here. Do I have Wycliffe? Maybe no. I still have it. Okay, let's try that. Oops. Let's see what Tyndale say. Now, so Tyndale actually used the iniquity, so I guess it goes back to Tyndale. Which I do want in regard to the German version of Luther, what he actually used, or what the Danish version actually used in regards of it, would be an interesting, actually Matthew 24:12. There we go. Would be interesting. I do also have the first translated version of the Danish, but would be interesting with the Christian III Bible. Let's see here, Christian III. There we go. Okay, so preferences. Let's just go into like so many things in regards to this. See here, Geneva, no. Webster, West Tyndale. Let's remove that. But yeah, they took a lot of Tyndale anyway. But he already made some issues where I think like it's not so good. Anyway, see VW, and because lawlessness, like this is a good much better translation, I think. And TS 2009, and regards of lawlessness, and because of anxiety. What in the world? Why did she choose that translation? Are you kidding me? Because of anxiety, and because of anxiety, there has to be the, what is that rubbish? And anxiety? Where did she get that from? Like anxiety. What? I That has to be the most disappointing translation. I think. It just doesn't make any sense. And many false prophets shall be raised up and deceive many. And because anxiety shall increase, the love of many shall be cold. Are you kidding me? Where in the world did she get that translation from? Like, that has to be the most disappointing translation I ever seen from her. And because anxiety shall increase, that seems like some woman stuff. Of course, she was a woman, but how did she ever get to anxiety? I wonder in regards of, actually, was that Matthew 7 or something like that? In regards of, like, you gotta be kidding me. That just seems like, let's see here. It's probably the end of Matthew 7 something. I can't remember, 7 something. Let's see, 20. Maybe it's 5. I can't remember. Like, see, King James Version here. Then we have, like, let's take this one. Maybe it's 5 or something like that here with her. There we go, 23. Let's try to see. Oh, that's actually have like Psalm 6. It's interesting. 6:8. Okay. Anyway, let's try to see, compare here. And then I will acknowledge to them that at no time I knew you. Retreat from me. Oh, once working what? Anomian. Anomian. Lawlessness. You that are without the law. I never knew you. You sell from me workers of what? Evil. Of la'ah. Unrighteousness, iniquity. Okay, so again, it's interesting to see the translations here and there and all that, how you actually like connect evil with lawlessness as well, like and yeah, it's interesting, like how it's yeah. Anyway, and then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And again, iniquity, it's kind of, the problem is that if you look into the compare here, right? And I haven't sorted things out in regards of it's like lawlessness. You have where it tells you how many different words is actually written to in the Hebrew. Should be somewhere. Okay, I'm not sure where it is, but there should be one of them where it tells you, here with King James Version, right? Iniquity, iniquities, iniquity, law, or unrighteousness. So we have like apparently 2 of them is in everyone that committed sin, and Tian also anomian, a lawlessness, commit sin is okay. So we have lawlessness there. Yeah, iniquity. It's like, yeah, that's the problem with the King James Version as well, when you have like multiple, words for one and all that. See, and then I will confess to them, I have never known you. Remove yourself from me, you workers of evil. And that's like a staffing. I'm not sure what that really is, or if I can even find that in regard to the information. Oh my, now we lost it. Compare. Get back. Go back here. There we go. No. Try again here. What's now wrong? This nonsense. So all of a sudden it doesn't work. Just. Give me a break. I don't know what happened. What? Yeah. Go. Oh no. Apparently it's just. Now we are like in this weird. It's like, the newer version you have of Android and these applications, the more issues you tend to have. I just want to go back to my Android 7. Pretty much had much less issues with that. Okay, so we have, let's see how she actually, SLT, and then shall I confess to them that I never knew you? Go away from me, ye working iniquity. So she's using iniquity here. I don't know why she would like anxiety. Like sound like a woman thing. Oh, because of these false prophets, the anxiety will anyway. Depart from me, ye who work lawlessness. Like TS 2009 is clearly a lot better. The VW also is pretty good. I actually think it's actually better than the King James Version overall in regards of it. The Geneva was kind of a little disappointing in regards of it. Lawlessness, VPNT is also pretty good. Wycliffe Modern, kind of disappointing. Work wickedness. Away from me, ye that work wickedness. But so again, you see all these different words being used for lawlessness, and just why not just say it as it is? Like, let's see if preference. Let's try the standard Wycliffe. I just want to see if he actually, maybe the Latin is even better in regards of because he's working wickedness. Okay, let's try the Latin. Go directly back to the Latin. Oh, what was that other version? That's probably also translated from the Latin by the papist, actually. What was that name? Maybe that's better than the Wycliffe Bible in regards of who knows? I can't. What was that called? The Roman Catholic Bible. The Roman Catholic Bible. Official. I have like an official thing. I'm just. Where did I actually? I was like looking into that some point. Maybe it was in one of the other applications. I actually might have it. It's hard to remember everything. Roman Catholic Bible Official English. I do have this Catholic Dua Bible. I think that's the one. I think that's the Dua Reams Bible Online. I think that's the official one. Let's just check what they translate. I think that's a translation from the Latin, right? Let's see here. Matthew. Let's see here. Oh, we have all the Latin, the Roman Catholic nonsense and all that. Well, let's see here. Where are we in do we actually get the... Oh, now it works again, right? Just stupidity. And did we get the Latin thing sorted out? Nope. Getting a little straying a little on things, I guess, from the prophetic book that we was reading. Just do wonder. Latin. There we go. Vulgate, save. Let's see what it says in Latin, Opera mini iniquititat. Oh, it's from the Latin. Interesting. So, I guess when Tyndale and others is using iniquity, I guess they're taking it probably from the Latin iniquitatem, I guess. Because like iniquity, like very, very close to the to the Latin. And then I do wonder in regards to Matthew 12. No, it was like 24:12. Let's try that. 24:12. Let's see what we have in regards to the Latin. So it it actually uses iniquitas as well in regards of okay, so that's also using iniquity, which the King James Version uses as well here. As I guess the Geneva Bible might be using as well, whereas the Greek is anomian. So it's kind of just, I guess, the Latin word for maybe lawlessness. That's a good question. If that's actually, but that seems to be what they seem to be getting over from the Latin, apparently, in regards of iniquity. I guess if you look up iniquity, it should say something in regards of lawlessness, but it's just not a word that seems to be, you wouldn't like iniquity. It doesn't seem like lawlessness is much, much better in regards of iniquity. So I guess this might actually have a word origin from Latin. It just says moral, objectionable behavior, an unjust act. It doesn't really say anything in regards of lawlessness or anything like that. So let's try to iniquity word origin. I think it's coming from Latin. Maybe that's the why I don't like it. Iniquity. The word origin. I did not write origin correctly. Word origin. There we go. Origin, I guess, is also kind of a. Usually, this is okay. Yeah, okay. We need to go to Google to, I guess, to. It's like they say French, but I think it's going back to the Latin. Well, that's interesting. Is inico actually also in regards of Spanish inico, probably from Latin Ignatius? What is that? Why do they connect that with inico here, down here, Ilitanio? Maybe these are just inico. I don't know. Let's go to Google here. Do 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 do. Like usually, at least on the computer, it kind of usually fix you to something. There we go. Okay. So not equal, fair, just compared to iniga, whatever. It's Latin, it seems. It's complaining, like, has lots of. Okay, so that's interesting to see that they might actually be getting that from the Latin. So, what was the other? I'm gonna try to get backward. 723. Yep, there we go. Let's take this one. Compare. And then I will acknowledge to them that at no time I knew you retreat from me, O once working lawlessness. There we go. And then I will profess to them from the beginning of time, not I have known you, remove far yourself from me, workers of evil. Which again, evil is kind of, so we have iniquity, which means unjust, apparently. And evil is used apparently I'm not sure in regards to the Aramaic, but that seems a little weird that now it's not working again. It's like one thing after another not working anymore in regards of on the Android. You need to it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible that I need to use all these clicking nonsense, which everything was working in the past, and it's just a downhill issue of more and more issues. And it's like, why? Why are things not working? Like it worked in the beginning without any issues. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So again, iniquity apparently seems to be a word from the Latin. We don't like Latin for sure. And here we have the O-A-N-T. I would actually like to see some of the other translations, and I only have one other Aramaic translation, I think, in regards of it. I wonder what they translated to this this Aramaic word. Let's see, Matthew. 7:23. There we go. And we also have Matthew 24:12. There we go. Okay. And then I will confess to them, I never knew you. Remove yourself from me, you workers of evil. Then we go again with the, we have two, okay, evil. And the SLT actually translate iniquity here. This is absolutely the best translation of it, I think. Obera mini iniquatim. Just interesting to see actually that it might actually be coming from the Latin in regards to iniquietatem. And then I will declare to them, I never knew you, depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Much, much better translation as well on that. And VPNT, not sure what the VPNT really is actually in regards of the stats about. But I don't think they actually take the only reason why I actually had it was that there was more information. But I don't think 1 John 5:7 is there, and they call people like me that perverse, either ignorant or perverse or both. I don't think I'm ignorant and I don't think I'm perverse, but I think 1 John 5:7 should be in there. But they don't have it. They put it a note, right? So that's kind of but I guess Wycliffe's version have it. Well, the Wycliffe modern as well, right? Is in the word. I don't know why he would be translating the sun, because I think the Latin actually do, as far as I recall, actually have. I'm not entirely sure. See here. Spiritus. Isn't it not? Oh, Spiritus, they're here. Christus non in aqua, sondern Spiritus. We have the Spiritus at least, right? I guess he could. I'm not entirely sure here. Well, don't they have it? Should be in the Vulgate. I don't see it. Cur tres sunt qui testimonian dan spiritus esqua et. Just seems like I wonder if it's not there. Or... Yeah, I don't know enough Latin to. But yeah, so I guess iniquity. We found out the word origin of that comes from Latin apparently. Now we just go back to the Matthew 7:23. Just weird in regards of the Aramaic. I would have thought the Aramaic would have been more clear in regards of lawlessness and not evil, like avla'a, evil of evil with evil, meaning unrighteousness, iniquity. Yeah, but what about lawlessness? There's like nothing in regards to the law, and this is weird. What about did we have what about the 24 in regards of it? Let's see what it says. And because of the abundance of evil, the love of many will grow cold. Abundance of evil. But what is evil? Lawlessness. Like the Greek, like anomian, and lawlessness. So I really, do I really need to get up and get the other one on, see and look it up? If he also translated as 2 seconds. I'll need to get. Are you kidding me? $7.26. Oh, see it. Back on the floor. Let's see, a 7. 7:26. I think it was. No, that's not true. See here. 7:23. And then I will profess unto them from everlasting, I have not known you, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. So here, like iniquity. And again, it actually leads you back to the Psalm, which I think it also. But so we can actually go back, I guess. Where did my pen go? Did I take that? Where's my pen? Oh, that's a pen here. But yeah, this one actually takes it back to Psalm. Workers of iniquity is a common phrase in the Tanakh. Iniquity is lawlessness. Yeah, there we go. So iniquity is lawlessness without Torah. But if you go to the Latin, you kind of don't really get that. Horror has taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake your Torah. Torah, Psalm 119:53. Each and every teaching of Yeshua is based on the Torah. To be anti-Torah is to be anti-Mashiach. Interesting. Therefore, every authority will be judged according to whether they hold Torah or not. According to Yeshua, Torah is the will of my Father. Matthew 7:21, 12:30. Torah means instruction in righteousness. Yeah. There we go. So it's just weird that he would translate it to iniquity up here when he actually fixes it to Psalm 6:8 in regards to workers of iniquity, which probably we can find out is actually just another word for lawlessness in regards to the. But let's just try to go. It's Psalm 6:8. Let's see what the Hebrew says. And we also have the Aramaic, apparently. Let's see what the Aramaic says, I guess. Now, this is the IFB. This is the Torah. Well, apparently the Psalms is there as well. No, it's not. Okay, but it's the Hebrew, okay. Aven. Trouble, wickedness, sorrow, idolatry, trouble of iniquity, wickedness. Iniquity, wickedness. Doesn't seem to be totally in regards to the word. All you workers of iniquity. Aven, wickedness. Where do we have actually Torahlessness, like lawlessness, in regards of the lawlessness? Let's see if we can find something in regards of. I still have these problems in regards of this. It's like you can't be. You're telling me there's nothing in the. They really need to. It was much better in the old days. I don't know what has. Okay, no lawlessness in that. Okay, let's try this one. Yeah, whatever. All the clicking. Are you kidding me? Searching for. There we go. Okay. Lawlessness. Don't we have lawlessness? Give me a break. No lawlessness in the. Like. Nothing in the Torah in regards of lawlessness. Without Torah. There must be something in regards of without Torah, Low Torah, maybe it's just low Torah, Low Torah, right? No Torah, low Torah, Torah, low Torah. I don't know if that would be the opposite. Yeah. Here the VW is actually using the word iniquity. Iniquitium in regards to the Latin. Wickedness is used also in the Wycliffe, which of course makes sense using the Vulgate, right? Wickedness, the TS 2009 used wickedness as this. Okay. Depart from me, all ye doing vanity. So here she actually fixed vanity with the thing in regards of vanity, of course. That's interesting. There's a lot of things where you can actually begin to connect all these things like lawlessness, vanity in regards of like when you say that the festivals are vanity, the festivals, the anti-Christian festivals are vanity, right? And empty nonsense and all that. Here we have iniquity used in regards of the Greek translation, but that's interesting. Let's see what the Greek actually says. The Greek actually says anomia, lawlessness in regards to this, the ABP. So that would seem to be saying lawlessness, and I guess we can just, I don't know, can I like search on that? No, that's not. I'll give me a break with the nonsense. All these clicking things that is going on that wasn't there in the past. I'm not, it's madness. Anyway, previous Genesis 19:15. Lawlessness, anomias 19. Let's try to see what we have here and compare. Seeing the lawlessness thing. But Avon. There we go, Avon again, I guess. No. Yeah. Avon. Perversity, that is moral evil, fault, iniquity, mischief, punishment, sin. Which is pretty much just lawlessness, right? Iniquity. Avon. So apparently it uses the word iniquity, I guess, in regards of the King James Version. So I'll see here. Lawlessness, anomias. We're losing. I guess we're losing battery. Has been Maybe I need to also take a break and a coffee break and all that. Here we go. Anomia. Well, the condition of being without law. Yeah. Okay. Let's try to go here. And then we go to compare. Let's see what we have. Sin. Avon. Sin. Avon. I wonder what sin is actually coming from in regards to the word sin. Sin, virtue, it doesn't seem to be like sin. Yeah, I probably need to. Come on, I'm getting so sick and tired of this mobile. I need to get back to my good old Android 7, instead of all this nonsense. I need to delete this phone. It's like too much nonsense. Etymology. Let's try to see if it's Latin. Nah. From Latin sin. From Old Spanish sin. From Latin sin. Is that the... Etymology, sinu, from Latin sinus, compared. I'm not sure that's exactly the alternative form. Sinu, Latin sinus. Sinus, sinus. I don't know. Anyway, it's easier to find on the computer. Okay, Avod, father. avon. So at least we have in the Hebrew, we have some kind of avon. Perversity, depravity. It's like lawlessness. It's the opposite of, law obedience. Transgression. Pesha, transgression. Forgiven iniquity, avon. Iniquity also being used here. Iniquity also there. Forgiving crookedness and transgression and sin. Yeah, anyway. Whatever the case. Matthew. Matthew 7:23. Okay, so you compare. KJV, keeping mercy for 1,000, forgiving iniquity, or iniquity. Like, we're still in. Why are we not in Matthew 7:23? Knowledge to them, at no time I knew you. Treat for me, O ones working anomian, in regards to the lawlessness. Evil, iniquity, workers of evil, working iniquity. Lawlessness, opera iniquititem, lawlessness, wickedness and wickedness. So, okay. Okay. Preferences. And going back to, oh, you gotta be kidding me, all that noise, like, people can't walk, like, okay, Bibles. This one and this one, let's just move that, save, okay. So, evil, so apparently evil, iniquity. But it's interesting how it fixes evil with lawlessness, evil, iniquity. Okay. And then 24:12. And unto account of multiplying of lawlessness, the love shall make cold, right? Let's see. So the abundance of evil. But what is evil? Well, evil is lawlessness. Well, maybe I should also check this one, this Aramaic version in regards to 24:12. Let's see here. 24:12 is... And again, he fixes actually, and because of the growth of iniquity, but he doesn't fix anything in regards of it. The love of many shall grow cold. He doesn't fix any statement in regards of it. And which will stand, okay, this is interesting, which will stand in the set apart place in regards to the Daniel the prophet. He actually points that out to be Daniel 9:27 and 11:31 and 12:11. I know. Not sure about 11:31, which is actually, that'll be interesting. Let's just check Daniel 11. 11:31. Let's see here. King James Version. Let's see here. I'm not sure what context this is. Let's try to take the... 11:31, but that's in regards to the ships of the team, but that's like kind of past things. In some sense, the strong shall take away which is continual. and set up the abomination that lays waste. Yeah, but it's like a past thing. But it might, sometimes past things can actually have something to do with the future. So we could go to the Maccabees and see what happens in regards to that. And battery is running dry, so might need to take a break, make some coffee or something like that, and then I guess continue from there on. But you get from past, present, and future. You get a sense of in regards to what is going to go on. Oh, it's just incredible how we can be so deceived. But of course, a lot of Christians believe that the law is abolished and done away, which is interesting when you know that lawlessness is evil. Abomination that lays waste. But yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. That it actually, and he also seems to be talking about. It's interesting to find some of the places where it's more in regards of the law, and then see what you have in regards of some of the different translations. But evil, so you have lawlessness. Some places talked about lawlessness also being talked about as being evil. And again, 1% of, well, I could also just charge the mobile